One of the defining characteristics of Oswego has always been its deep sense of patriotism and service. Throughout our history, local men and women have answered the call to serve our nation. When they returned home, they continued serving their community. At the heart of that tradition stands Oswego's American Legion. For generations, the Legion has honored veterans, supported families, sponsored youth programs, preserved history, and strengthened the bonds that unite our community. Whether during Memorial Day ceremonies, Veterans Day observances, or community events throughout the year, Oswego proudly remembers those who served and sacrificed. Their legacy continues to inspire future generations.
Well, welcome, Dave. Thanks for being here.
Mayor, thank you for asking me.
Of course. You're a longtime member of the community, and this is a great interview. So tell us about your connection to Oswego. How did your family first become part of the community?
Well, we moved here in 1957.
Wow.
Down on Sundown Lane, past the old Oswego dump, all the way at the end.
People ask me this all the time,
Sure.
So I was cleared up. I spell my last name with one L. And
Yes.
most of the Woolies spell the name with two. People
Yeah.
say, are you related? I said, we have to be. We're all from the same, And it started out with actually a fellow coming in from England in the mid-1800s, and he had 5 sons. And they all kind of settled, the farm families settled out in the Woolly Road, Douglas
Right.
Road area,
Right.
hence why it became Woolly Road.
Right.
And apparently it was either my grandfather or my great-grandfather. He got so tired of the postman always bringing the wrong mail that he changed his last name and dropped an L with the hopes that the postman would get it right. They didn't.
It's a great story.
It's still that's another interesting thing that happens, and again, looking back at the country and what they had to do, which, like I say, I kind of like take the macro approach and look at the country, not just Oswego. But, my grandfather, he ran a little farm out there, but he also drove an oil truck because that's how all the farmers got their gas and oil. And he was also postmaster, and which I don't know how you get those jobs, but he was postmaster for a while.
Nobody wanted it.
And it used to be tradition in the old days that when they owned the post office, the postmaster owned the boxes. So when the next postmaster came in, he bought the boxes from you. Well, about the time my grandfather got done being postmaster, the government decided, well, we're going to take it over, and you can have those boxes. We're going to put our own boxes in. So he hadn't have anybody to sell them to. So they ended up out in the barn out by the farm, holding nuts and bolts and screws and stuff until the barn went away.
Oh,
I always thought that was an interesting story.
I always look back, growing up in Oswego, it was a great place to grow up. It was fun to be on the farm and yet come to school in Oswego because I knew the town kids, but they all liked to come out to the farm. That was a cool place to hang out. Just a great life growing up.
Yeah, things that I have seen in my lifetime, and just basically downtown. People would come into town, and I don't know these streets in Oswego. Somebody would ask me.
Go to Jim's house and take a left.
Yeah, that's how I did. I did it, say, who are you looking for?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
And they say, how do you know that? I said, small town, we knew everybody. Said our biggest thrill was Halloween, if we could make all them houses.
I think probably the best memory is working with the people. And I mean the people in the village, the officers that we hired over the years, tremendous officers, and the boards too. I worked under 6 mayors.
When did you become chief? President. What year did you become the
1983. Chief? I was chief for 20 years, 1983 to 2003.
So how long were you the mayor?
4 years.
Okay.
95 to 99. So between Dale and I, we came up with the development has to pay its way, and that was my platform. Obviously, enough people voted for me. Of course, we were, 4,000 people then.
Yeah.
I was completely shocked that I actually won. I'm a newbie, But I'm glad I got up. I'm glad I ran, and I'm glad we got our, fees in place that, we still use today.
Yeah.
So.
In your role as the mayor, what was your biggest or best accomplishment?
The impact fees.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Everybody supported it.
Yeah.
It was just coming up with the right dollar value.
Right.
Right.
I can remember times in the hardware store there when we'd be home on a Sunday afternoon, and you get a call from one of the farm folks out here, and Forey, that was his name. His name was Forrest, and they call him Forey. He says, I got a real problem. He said, it's Sunday afternoon, and my pump went out. I got 40 head of cattle. There's no water.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's what you did.
So
You
my
went
dad
fixed it.
came over and tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Come on, kid," you know. And we came down to the fire station, and he and I hopped in a fire truck that held 1,000 gallons of water, and we trooped out to the farmer's house and dumped it in his horse trough, you know. And about that time, 40 head of cattle come steaming up to us, you know. He ran the truck, I held the hose.
So when you were the mayor, what was the biggest controversy or accomplishment that came across the desk?
I thought when I ran for mayor that we should protect our borders.
Were you after Dick Saletri?
No. I was after Harry Fuller.
Oh, okay. Dick was after you.
Yes,
Okay.
Dick was right after me.
Okay.
Anyway, I thought we ought to protect our borders in town.
Mm-hmm.
So I arranged to I just thought 30 would be a good border because Montgomery was moving this way, and I didn't want them clear down to the downtown, you know. So we established 30, and we annexed property up that way till we got it done.
Right.
And then I knew they were going to, at that time, Route 34 was 2-lane through town.
Correct.
And I knew that was going to get wider. So I protected the right-of-way, 120-foot right-of-way, where it came through town, so it didn't
Best thing that
be
ever
that
happened.
far from the back of somebody's house.
Yeah.
And that worked out good.
Yeah.
And, and I was fire chief for...
So tell me about your mom and dad.
Mom was very, very involved in Oswego. She was one of the first on the committee to start the Little White School. So, and then she had several antique shops in Oswego. Bob Prosek ran the inn at that time. And he, I don't know, was kind of in charge of raising money for the Oswego fireworks.
Yeah.
And Ken and I were crazy enough to say, oh, we'll help you.
Well, that means you took it over.
We took it over, and I think we did it for 8 to 10 years. We did campaign once a month, usually the recycling the tin cans.
Oh, yeah.
In the parking lot of the old St. Anne's.
Right, I remember that.
We would fill up, people were so generous. I mean, we would fill up those
I remember
recycle
that.
bins. So we raised a lot of money. We started raising enough money that we started, I think, at $5,000, and we went and we walked around, did a lot of knocking on doors, as business does, for donations.
Yep.
And I think our last show, we had a $22,000 show.
Just keep doing it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, you have been involved in just about everything. I mean, you've been Mr. Oswego for so very long, and you've talked a lot about some of the things that you've been involved in, Park District and the paper and the park and economic development and getting the corridor out on 34. If we sat here and listed your contributions, we'd be here for a very long time. Do you have a favorite one? A one you're most proud of?
I'd have to say the Route 34 business corridor.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a very good one.
Yeah, we took a lot of grief over doing it, but as people realized what it was, and it was designed to be a regional shopping center, not just an Oswego one.
I'll never forget that when I first came to town after we were married, Grace Carr said, "Oh, you're from out of town," and I'm thinking,
oh, they knew everything.
No, I was from Aurora. It was 7 miles.
Yeah, that's out of
I
town.
didn't think I was out of town. You're an outsider. I go, yeah, I guess so.
Oh gosh, I forgot about Grace Carr.
Yeah, but it was so nice. We had Bones and we had Denny's grocery store, and we had the library and
Forey's Hardware.
and Chuck Schuler. Oh my God! When our kids were little, and somebody got sick, and you had to call down there, Chuck would go down and open up the drugstore for you.
Oh, totally.
It was just.
It's like Doc Coke. He would just drive whatever you need to your house.
It was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So.
Days are kind of gone.
Yeah.
But
And then just going down back in the day, riding your bike down to Schuler's, you'd go get, a 10-cent bottle of pop at Shell. You go to Foxy's or Dairy Hut. You know, it's always a toss-up. Who was better? But you know what? I love them both. I love them both. And if
they both thrived.
Yep. And then we go down. I don't recall what the diner was called. I knew it was called the Lark. And you know, going to the Legion on Friday night, you know, have a fish fry. You know everybody. And I was just a kid, but I thought it was the greatest thing. You go home and watch TV. You know. You know, of course, Detzer Pontiac was always a playground. The booze bin. You know, we'd go to the booze bin. All the pet shops, Bob's, and the one in the Ledger building, there used to be a pet shop at one time.
Yep.
When Cars was there, the old dime store. It was fun downtown.
Well, I never imagined, you know, well, I ended up getting married in 1980 then. She worked in Morris, I worked in Aurora, so it was convenient.
Yeah.
But we just haven't found a reason to move.
Yeah.
We like where we live.
I love Oswego.
Yeah.
I really do.
I mean, it's great people, you know, friendly. You know, I bought my electric tricycle that I ride back and forth to the golf course. And the people that wave and, oh, can I stop and pet your dog? And, you know, I mean, everybody's just so, you know, laid back and relaxed. It's really nice. But I was, you know, really glad and proud to be a part of this village. Never planned on it.
Yeah.
My dad was always involved politically. He was always a, you know, precinct committeeman, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he passed away in '93, so he didn't get to be there to see me be mayor.
You know, Dave, when I think of this celebration that's coming up and everything, I kind of take a macro view a little bit. You know, I go beyond Oswego, I think, a little bit. I really like to look a little bit of history, and I'm a big fan of the Greatest Generation, which is my parents and perhaps yours, I don't know, and some of the generations before them and the contributions they made to the country. And it's really quite unique in a way of what they did, and something that I don't think you can really accomplish today.
Be tough.
Be tough, you know. I mean, he started that hardware store with nothing, and my mother worked as a bookkeeper at a clothing store in Aurora, and they basically lived off of her salary so that he could pour everything he made back into more inventory. So, you know, that was, and then he became part of the community. He did a lot of things, you know, before they had paramedics and whatever. He taught advanced first aid classes. He joined the volunteer fire department, which he was chief of for 10 years back in the 59 to 69. And, you know, I just have a lot of memories of that going back, and not so much the Oswego connection as the type of people back then, and people of his generation. And there's just a lot of people that you know, they never talked much about their background a lot, because either they were too humble or it hurt too much. And you know, they went through the Great Depression. Then as soon as the Depression was over, they had to go to war. And I think that's just a remarkable thing. And I had all my uncles. I had an uncle in the Air Force. I had an uncle in the Navy. I had an uncle in the Coast Guard.
Oh my gosh.
I had another uncle in the Army. And my dad went in the Army. You know, Pearl Harbor was December of 1941. And my dad joined up in January of 1942. So when he got out, he started this hardware store, and then he met my mother, and they had me. And about that time, when he left the Army, he wasn't connected to anything. And he thought, well, he had not a bad time in the Army, and he just thought, well, I'll just stay in the inactive reserves. Well, Korea came along, and they left all the active reserves at home, and they called back all the inactive reserves. So he went back into service for another year and a half, I think it was, and my mother did the best she could filling in at the hardware store. And they were renting a house here in town at the time, and she went and moved in with her sister.
So obviously Oswego is a special place. It's always been a special place. But what do you think that spark is? What do you think that thing that makes generations of Oswegoans come here and stay?
I think, you know, Oswego, while it's changed a lot over the years, if you can still protect that small town, hometown environment, That's what people want, especially now more so than ever.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely.
just to be part of it, and not everybody's going to get everything they want, but I think for the most part, I like what I see in Oswego. I really do.
Same here. You know, I always get that feeling, like at Christmas Walk. I feel like I am in a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
And I don't exactly know how to articulate that other than saying I feel like I'm in a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
And whatever that feeling is, I love that.
Yeah.
And that is what I want us to hold on to.